we'll first create a network space, okay, virtual cloud. So how you'll do it, just go your VPC here, or you can click on this VPC section, and you can see here one create VPC. Just hit this one. Okay, now let me give one name to the VPC. Suppose again I'll give is my custom VPC, make it like retail. I'll make it retail. Retail related things will be there in the my VPC. My VPC retail. So here the CIDR block, I have to decide which CIDR block I need to provide. Suppose I go with 10.0.0.0/16. So if I give 10.0.16, how many IP addresses will make? I am giving a broad range of IP addresses. Suppose if I give here 16, it will be 64 something IP addresses will be 64,000, sorry, 65,536 IP addresses available to be assigned my subnet and to my server. Okay. So now I gave a broad range of 16. Now I selected no IPv6 CIDR block is required. I don't need IPv6. And tenancy, you can select for English. You can go for dedicated location, and you have to pay more for that. I want a default public tenant, so that I'm taking some rent here. And the tags you can give automatically takes name, and I don't have to give anything, and simply hit create, and it will just create with the CIDR block. Create VPC. That's very simple. Now what we did, we created simply one blank VPC. We got a land here. Now we got a land. Now I'm going to construct my house here, right? So I got a network here. Now I am to put the details whatever I want. So this now looks like entirely blank. Let's move on. We have VPC now. So as we learned, when we create a default VPC, when we create our custom VPC, what are the things will be default created? When you create a custom VPC, by default three things will be created. One is your route table, there another one your with network SCL, the third one will be your default custom security group. Okay, when you create a custom, by default it will create three things. One will be route table, network SL, and security groups. Okay, so this is what simply created. Now our point is we need to create two subnets. So let's go ahead and go to create two subnets. Now how will create two subnets? Go to subnet here, subnet section, and here already default three subnets are there, but I don't want to touch this default. I will create my own subnets. Okay, so just give and select the VPC, which VPC you want to select. So we have our custom VPC. Select the custom VPC, and it is associated with the CIDR blocks like this. And let me just give subnet name. So remember, this subnet name should be understandable whatever you are giving, because by seeing the subnet its name itself you can understand where is this subnet being used and where you can use it. Okay, now what I'll give it here, first let me give the subnet name as 10.0.1.0, because I'm give suppose I have to create two subnets, one will be public and another one will be private, right? So let's just go given this 10.0.1.0, and I give a name to the suppose slash, and suppose which zone it is. Suppose I want to put this in zone A, available zone A, so I can put it AP South 1A. I want to put it 1A, and this I want to make it as public domain, public subnet. So I'll make it as public. I'll make it as public. Okay, this will be 01's AP South 1A public. Now which availability zone? So I gave as a name this This is entirely up to you. This is what I gave to my understanding, so that by seeing the name itself I can understand this is the IP name, IP address, subnet mask, and this is the availability zone. This is available, and this is the public. Now let me select and put into the AP South 1A. I put it AP
One.
1A. Now the CIDR block here for sub. That one we get the CIDR for block for VPC. Now we are going to give a CIDR block for subnet. Okay. Suppose I want to give a CIDR block for this 10.0.1.0 slash 24 range. Okay. For 24 range, how many will be created? Suppose I give 24 here, so it will be 256 created, right? Out of 256, 5 will be reserved for AWS, and we will have 251 addresses. Now let's move on here. I gave 24, give a name here, that is fine. So let's create. I created one subnet here. Let me quickly create another subnet. Similarly, I'm just moving it fast forward, so I can give what was the name I had given. Suppose this one I'll give 10.0.2.0 slash 24. Sorry, this is the name, right? Okay. Then I can give, I'll put this one AP South 1B. Okay. I'll put this subnet in 1B availability zone. Suppose I'll give 1B, and I want to make this as private MySQL or database on this server. Okay. So I want to make this as a private subnet. Now let's move on to the availability zone, that will be 1B. Let's move on to the CIDR block. Quickly, I give us 10.0.2.0 slash 24. Okay, now select, so give it a as pop everything. So now I created to subnet. Okay, that's superb, right? So we created two subnets. Now what happens? Okay, see, we created two subnets. One is public subnet, private, but we just created two subnets, but we have not decided whether this can be public or that can be public. We did not set anything, we just gave a name. Then how I'll make this as a public? Let me show you. Just simply, suppose I want to make this as public, I have to select it, go action, okay, and here modify auto assign IP settings. Okay, click on this modify auto assign IP settings, and here enable auto assign public IP. Enable it. So let me copy this and move to our blank diagram. So I created now these two subnets, one public subnet, another private subnet. As per diagram, let's create two EC2 instances. Okay. So how we'll create the EC2 instances? Just go here and just launch instance. Okay, launch instance, and I'm going to create Amazon Linux 2. Okay, so select one. This is the image machine image which you want to create your machine. Okay, virtual machine. So this is the instance type. What type of instance? Just create configure instance. The network so far we had given default, but this time we are going to give our my custom VPC retail. This is what we had created. Select it. So as soon as you select, you can see, guys, it gives 251 IP addresses. Whether you want to make this server as public or private. Based on that, you have to choose the subnet. So we have two subnets, right? One is private subnet and the other one is the public subnets. Okay. Now let me select this as public subnet. I made this public. And as soon as you select this public subnets, you will get, it gives auto assign public IP. So I use the use subnet setting to, that is, you can do that, use subnet setting. So it will automatically assign a public IP. Then next what it happens, so reservations and the rest of the things, let it by default. I'm not going to change anything. So do add storage. Okay, now we can see the default size and everything. I'm leaving it as default. Add tags. Now just give a name. I can give a name this as I can give us UI server. Okay, UI server. Normally UI server is public, right? We have to because it will be client facing, right? So I made it as UI server. Let's give the security group. I can create like any security group, or what you can do existing, you can add it and modify the existing one. But I'm going to create a new security group. So let me create it as like suppose I'm giving SSH protocol, so it should be meaningful. By seeing the name itself, we should understand like why you are going where and what the security group is for. So I'm giving some HTTP, okay, and this suppose SSH and HTTP I'm going to provide access. Or let's give something like 8080 or something give like mm, HTTPS. So whatever you want based on that, you just give it. The same thing, let's give in the description as well. Okay. Now I have to one SSH rule is the firewall already given for this protocol, and I have given security for all, right? Now let's add another rule. I can give suppose HTTP actually port number 80, right? You can select 80 here by custom TCP, or you can select HTTP here, HTTP 80, and I give this one, and then another role I can this time I will give for HTTPS. So HTTPS is 443, okay, 443. Then I'll add another one like this is custom TCP, and this one I'll give 8080. Okay. Okay, now review and launch. Okay, so you can select the key, whatever you have key, or you can create a new key. Okay, I have some existing key, so I selected some existing key, launch instance. Now we created one public instance, right? Let's quickly move on and create one private instances. So I have another created, so I'll move on here and go launch instance. Same thing. So this time I'm just quickly moving it. Okay. So here, what I'm going to select custom VPC, but this time I'm going to select as private subnet. So I'm going to put this instance on the private subnet. So create in the private subnet. So as soon as I give private subnet, you can see it here. It is disabled, right? It comes use subnet setting disabled. That means it will not create any public IP. Okay. Now let's move on and create add storage. Okay, and now our tags, give this as name, and suppose my this is my private server and I want to put in the database here. So I make this server as DB server, database server. So security group, so we can have our existing security group, or else for this we can create a different security group, because we have to suppose this is SSH MySQL. Okay, we need MySQL supposed to be installed database, so I gave MySQL. And so let's launch any key acknowledgement. Okay, launch instance. So I just created another instances. So if I go and click on the view instances, okay, let me close this window, and you'll see if I go here, click on the instances running. So only one UI server is running now. Just refresh it. You'll get another server. Okay. So I have two servers now running. One UI server and another DB server. Both are Linux machines. Okay. Just wait for some time. Okay. Now if you see the UI server, if you click this instance ID, you'll find one public IP. So now our project looks like this. So we created all this. We created EC2 instances, one EC2 instances on public subnet, and another EC2 instances on private subnet. Okay. And we had created one security group attached here and security group attached here. Let me go and quickly create one internet gateway. So just give a internet gateway I can give my custom internet gateway, ICW internet gateway, my custom internet gateway. And you don't have to do anything actually, so just give a name and tag here and everything, just create internet gateway. Okay, simply create internet gateway. Now we created our internet gateway, right? So our diagram is now looking like this. We created the internet gateway. So what I have to do here first, we can do simply by using attaching to the VPC. Okay. So how we can attach it? Simply, you can just go here and attach to VPC, or you can go to the VPC and attach there. So I can show you here. Let's select this actions, attach to VPC, and select VPC, my custom VPC, attach internet gateway. Now I attached the internet gateway to our VPC. Now I attached to our, this is attached to our VPC. Okay, we have to now go and work on the route table. Okay, so what we have to do, just go to the route table, and we have only two route tables. Okay, one for default VPC and one for custom VPC, right? Two route tables will be there. Now just click this route table. Okay, now if I just hit connect here, what will happen? See, it's not able to connect because we don't have any internet connection still. We are not able to connect this IP addresses. What will happen now? Let's move on, and here you can see in the route tables, right? It is totally blank. We have not associated any subnets. Now I was talking about subnet associating. Okay, that is what, if you see this diagram, we are into this public subnet. Our EC2 instances is sitting under this public subnet, but this public subnet does not have connectivity to the internet gateway. How it can connect them? So what we have to do, using the route table, we have to just connect the subnet to the route table, and through route table we will go and connect to the internet. Okay, so what we have to do now, just simply associate the subnet. So we have the VPC created here, and you can see here in this VPC we have two subnets, 10.1.0, 10.0.2.0. So I want this public subnet to associate in this route table. So I'm just clicking it here, and you'll find two subnets here, and let me just add the public one and save association. Okay. Now, if you do save association, you can see here, go to subnet association. We can have now, see, explicit subnet association, we have one, the public one, and the without explicit association, we have private one. Okay. Now, so what we have to do, we have to route this route table. This is very important. So we have to route the table, edit the route table, and we have to add our internet gateway here. That subnet which is associated to this route table is now destination as public and routed to the internet gateway. Okay, now our route has been changed. If I go and click now, go and hit, see, we are now able to connect. See,
Yeah.
now I'm able to connect, because that is what the route was not given to the internet gateway. So the route was only given to the local system, to the local VPC, but it was not attached to the internet gateway. So the internet gateway, whatever you create, it should always attach to a route table. Hope you guys understood how to create our own custom VPC and attach into internet gateway, and then route the traffic through route table to our public subnet. So guys, if you have any doubt or any concerns, please do write in the comment section below.
So I'll try to answer your questions. In my next video, I'll do set up the connectivity to our private instance using NAT gateway.